Welcome.
Welcome.
This is Dan's Weird Closet Picks, Twin Peaks Season 2. I'm here with Emily.
Back in the closet.
We did a separate video on Season 2 bad episodes, which is just a quick tier list because we can't be bothered to go into detail on those.
No, they're just bad.
Yeah.
If you really care to know deep plot on it, don't.
It gets undone, like almost all of it, anyway, on the last episode.
Yeah.
In this way, mostly going to cover the first 8-9 episodes. I'm not quite sure.
Something like that.
Something like that. And the last episode, which is the glorious return of David Lynch. Okay, so some overall notes I've got rewatching it.
Spoiler alert.
Which was the amount of producer overreach that they did is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even crazier than I remember. Because I remembered, okay, they revealed the killer early and that kind of stuff. But they not only reveal the killer early, they're like, oh my god, quickly arrest him. Why?
Yeah.
I was thinking, like, if you're gonna reveal the killer, you could have a few more episodes where he's like, we're doing the Columbo thing, where you know who the killer is.
Yeah.
That's where the tension comes from. You could do that. Let's quickly resolve everything. Let's quickly do everything. Let's tie everything together. Why?
Yeah, like, episodes 7 and 8 feel like the end of a series.
Yeah.
It feels like they just completely went, okay, we gotta stop the series right here. You could have milked that a little bit further, like you just said, where it's just like you can extend that out, let the audience know what's happening so that you could add extra tension in certain scenes. I even wrote a note down saying that, like, you could give more breathing room on, like, let's just say it now, Leland is Bob.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I kind of called that.
Yeah, I'm really, I was going to say proud of you, but I don't know if I'll go that far. But obviously, when I first saw this series, I had no fucking idea.
Yeah. For a brief moment, I actually thought it was Ben, because there's a scene right before they actually reveal it where they're talking with the one-armed man in the Great Northern, and Ben's walking down the hallway, and they're building that tension, and it's like cutting between the one-armed man freaking out and then Ben, and then there's like a shot where Ben's like walking in behind him, and like the whole scene is super tense, super good. So, like, for a half of the moment, I bought the red herring and went, oh, Ben's actually the killer. He's Bob. Yeah. But then, like, 2 scenes later, it's like, oh, no, Leland is. And that whole scene freaked me out, by the way. Like, very well shot. Super tense. I love that scene. But that should have been, like, the last episode of the whole show, period.
They reveal the killer. They catch the killer. They quickly wrap everything up. And then they do 22 episodes. Why?
Yeah. Like, what? A show that is super popular and the whole crux of the show is a mystery, and then you just show the mystery, you shot yourself in the foot.
And they didn't give themselves anything else to go off of. Like, nothing. There was nothing left.
They don't even set up Wyndham Earle coming back until a little later, too.
No,
right?
That's later. That's all the trial and error of what's going to be the mystery.
So we brought up autism the last episode a little bit, of like where David Lynch is probably autistic. You could feel that kind of need for that little background information that kind of gets drawn out by an autistic mind. And you could feel that in the early episodes, and you could feel that in the last couple episodes. But throughout the middle section, a lot of those like weird set pieces just disappear. It feels like that the producers didn't understand why they were there, like, at all, and just said, let's just not have weird deer humping scenes. Let's leave giant fish props out of our sets. Overall, it feels like those weird moments that would just be kind of a laughable, like, oh, isn't David Lynch kooky? Just gone. Completely gone.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go episode by episode. I do want to talk about the first half of this season because it is as good, if not better, than season 1.
Oh, yeah, like the first 2 episodes are fantastic.
Here's my notes. Lucy reads all the cliffhangers that happened.
Yeah.
It is like a last episode. But instead of doing that, it's just like one of the characters just plainly says it. Like, this happened, and this happened, and this happened.
That's pretty clever, because, like, that feels like something Lucy would do. And it's kind of giving exposition to the audience without, like, feeling like you're getting exposition.
I've got a question for you, because this was not clear to me. Do you think Audrey is doing full-time shifts at the whorehouse?
Oh, yeah. She doesn't get caught until this season because she had been working there the last 2 episodes of season 1? I can't remember now.
Yeah.
So she barely doesn't get seen by her dad, and then is she doing full shifts there? What's she doing on her free time?
Yeah, that's the thing, is like they treat her like she's been working there for days. And like no one ever mentions anything like that about time or anything like that, but that's how they treat her. And I'm like, that's very dark.
Yeah.
So we gave away that Leland is the killer.
Yeah.
When Leland sings, when the little girl's playing the piano, I saw so many clues on there. It was crazy.
Yeah, before I knew Leland was Bob, there was a few things that kind of really started to solidify that in my mind, where him going shock white overnight, that was a good hint to the audience. And then him doing the singing scene, and then there's a couple scenes where he's dancing with Ben and Jerry. Some hints there that he's Bob singing a tune and he's making these 2 fools dance for him, that kind of thing.
Where I come from, there is music in the air. I like the little bits here at the dinner scene, man. I think the act for Laura's mom has been told that Leland is the killer early, because she's acting so great. Because Leland is about to give this giant eulogy, and as soon as Leland she starts drinking and side-eyeing.
Yeah, she kind of knows.
Yeah. So Cooper was shot.
I know you. I recognize you.
Your milk will get cold. Wow. I told you last episode that the biggest thing I've ever laughed at, not even Twin Peaks, not even movies, just in general, was the Tibet scene. Probably the second thing I laughed so hard at is this scene. Because it's... So Cooper is lying down on the floor bleeding out. There's this incredibly old guy that comes in for room service with some milk, and he looks senile and he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. I really like the teasing of the audience.
Yeah, just kind of just drawing this out.
Every time you think it's over, it keeps going.
Yeah, he walks out, turns around, thumbs up.
Yeah, he does that a few times. Yeah, because he walks out, turns around, gives a thumbs up, and he starts walking away again, and he's like, "Oh, wait a minute, he didn't give me a thumbs up, so I must do it again." So he waits for Coop, and he does it. Coop does a thumbs up.
I love that scene so much.
Yeah, I was exactly what I was going to say, the same thing.
And I love how that they kind of set up the old guy, because there are a few real world characters and a few dream characters that kind of overlap.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're the real world characters are the vessels that those dream characters kind of pop up in, but the old guy and the tall guy kind of show up together a lot.
Yeah.
The dwarf, and I think he is connected to the one-armed man. Mm-hmm. There's kind of parallels between the dream world and the real world.
So the giant shows up. He's called the Fireman, which you'll learn later.
Okay, yeah.
I like him better than the dwarf guy because, almost ironically, because it's really funny that he gives Cooper more clues. The owls, not what they seem, this and that.
Yeah.
And I like that he keeps coming back and tells Coop off. It's like, it's happening again. You fucked up. Was I not clear enough? The owls are not what they seem. Get it together. And he gets so angry.
Yeah. We can get into the owls later, but there's a lot of scenes where I was like, oh, hey, there's an owl in the background. Or there's a couple characters that have a shine to their eyes like an owl does at night.
I don't think I still quite figured out what that was, to be fair. And this episode, it was funny, it was interesting, and it ends with one of the most horrifying scenes I've ever seen in TV or movies, which is Ronette's dream.
Oh!
Laura was killed and she was there. Yeah, it's kind of like a montage of scenes where Bob is killing Laura and Laura is screaming. Best scream ever.
Yeah, no, that whole scene is tense.
It's horrifying. I got chicken boobs all over. Yeah, I just have no words. It's so well done. It's such a good horror moment. Laura's scream is haunting. She's one of the best screamers ever. the shadows and the cinematography and like the blood and sweat and it's like close-ups of that. It's just so evocative.
And like the actor for Bob is just creepy. The smile that he has, it's just like, oh my god, what is this man?
Yeah. Episode 2, we meet Baby Lynch.
Yeah, I laughed so hard when I saw that. So it looks exactly like him. Is that kid related to him, or is it just like they happened to find a kid that kind of looks like him and they just did his hair up like that?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know. I think he has daughters.
Okay. That was his most obvious insert character,
It is.
for sure.
And Donna, she checks Meals on Wheels, what Laura was doing, the track and the customers and that kind of stuff.
One of Laura's many, many jobs.
One of Laura's hundreds of jobs. And comes across this old lady and a little boy in a tuxedo. I love that scene. I think that's one of the scenes that I fully figure out what's happening. I think Baby Lynch shows us the magic of editing.
Yeah.
The old lady gets creamed corn. Comes back later as well.
Yeah.
Gets creamed corn and she's like, I don't want creamed corn. I don't want it.
Yeah, I wrote that in my notes.
Cut. Donna face. She looks over to the boy. And then the boy is holding the creamed corn. And then cut, Donna, cut, empty plate. And then the old lady is like, my grandson is a magician. So I think David Lynch is just telling us, this is editing, and he fools us with editing. And this is what this scene meant to show.
Okay, that kind of makes sense, because in season 1, and I know I brought this up in the last episode, there's a scene with Dr. Jacoby essentially doing magic tricks to like show the audience, don't believe everything you see.
Yeah.
That definitely kind of ties in with that kind of theme where, yeah, TV shows are magic tricks.
Yeah.
Not everything is as it seems, and you shouldn't take everything so literally.
What do you think about James's song? Just you and I.
Was that... I think I just turned my brain off every time I saw James.
Oh, but I like that scene.
I don't remember that. I do not have notes about that. In fact, I have a note about Bobby changing the detective theme to rock music later on.
Oh, okay.
There's a scene where it starts off with a detective theme and it kind of sets into the situation with Bobby and Shelley. And then Bobby's like, change the music, and it changes to rock music.
Okay.
I thought it was funny. But no, I don't remember James singing at all.
Oh my god. You know what? Might blow your mind. This is one of my favorite scenes ever in Twin Peaks.
Oh no.
So it's him, Maddie, and Donna, and James is holding a guitar, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that scene.
Yeah, that's when Donna and Maddie kind of like both realize they're falling in love with James.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, Donna was already in love with him, but...
And James is like doing this very cringy, repetitive song.
Yeah.
But you know what? It is one of my favorite scenes in the whole TV show because it is on paper is the lamest scene ever. But directed by David Lynch is so good. So let me set up the whole thing. So James is there with the guitar. Donna and Maddie in front of a microphone. It's a very repetitive song. Just you and I. Just you and I. Forever together in love. And he's doing this voice. I'm not exaggerating.
No, like, you're not exaggerating at all. That's what he sounded like.
Yeah, he's like, his voice is like 5 times higher pitch than normal is. And it's,
Yeah.
So it's just, I love that scene. It's so weird because at the beginning it's laughable. It's like, oh my god, what the fuck's going on? It's so stupid. And then it kind of turns dramatic, and you kind of forget about the music, and it's all about the looks people give to each other.
Yeah.
And it's on paper, it sounds like a terrible scene. But because David Lynch directed it, it's amazing. I love it so much. It's like a whole scene where there's like 4 lines of lyrics, and then a whole lot of character interactions going on. I just love it so much.
No, the only thing I wrote down for that entire scene for my notes was polyamory needs to be explained to the 3 of them.
Yeah. Well, it was the 90s.
Yeah.
Also, I think Donna would be not that type, you know? She's very...
No, she's very possessive.
Yeah, she's very possessive. She kind of got on my nerves in this season. She got really annoying.
Yeah, Donna and James, just like anytime they were on screen, I was just like, all right, whatever. I don't care. This is boring.
For different reasons, I think.
Yeah.
Because
like I certainly didn't hate the singing scene. I was just like, oh, James, shut off brain.
yeah, I love that scene. But Donna, like, her shtick kind of worked for season 1. But season 2 got so annoying because her shtick is that, I'm gonna pretend I'm an adult woman now. I'm gonna put on Laura's sunglasses and smoke a cigarette, and I'm so cool. And it just comes across so lame and forced and annoying.
It's just kind of cringy. I have a lot of notes on Andy and Dick Tremaine trying to be dads, but
yeah,
we don't have to get into that.
I mean, it starts out funny.
It starts off really funny, and it kind of gets weird after a while.
It gets weird, and again, gets into the bad episodes, and they never let it go, and yeah, it gets boring and annoying.
Yeah.
I like that Andy's like very anxious about his sperm, and there's like there's like slapstick comedy with his sperm. That's cute. I like that.
There's one scene where I really want to talk about where it's one of those like few like super autistic moments that it feels like David Lynch had direct control over at some point.
Yeah.
They mentioned that Lucy's gone and that they have a replacement for Lucy, and they cut to Andy sitting at Lucy's desk, and there are just post-it notes everywhere. Like the whole office is just covered in post-it notes, including himself. It made me laugh because like I had a moment like that at a previous job where I was doing order processing and I couldn't keep up with all the new information, so I just started writing sticky notes. And it got so bad that my cubicle looked like that, and I thought it was really funny. And then I realized that's something that someone had to experience.
Yeah.
That's not like a producer can't pull that out of their ass.
No.
Either a writer or a director or David Lynch himself had to have experienced putting sticky notes everywhere at some point in their life to add this into that scene.
Yeah. It definitely feels like a personal touch.
Yeah, for sure. Like funny little incidental moments that you see in the David Lynch episodes a lot more than the crappy ones.
Episode 3 is the first episode not directed by David Lynch, but it looks okay for 90s TV standards. So they're clearly trying to kind of emulate that heightened style. And there's some fun stuff. Different scene that stuck out to me with Andy was when I think this is where his sperm thing comes up, and he has to carry his sperm outside the building, and then he looks out.
Yeah.
He looks outside the office, and there's like a neighborhood watch silhouette character that looks exactly like him.
I thought that was so funny.
That was a nice little touch, whoever directed that movie.
Yeah.
What did you think about Albert's love speech?
Oh, God.
It comes out of nowhere, but I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that, actually.
Oh my God, how can you forget?
Well, because I was so wrapped up with, like, Albert being kind of a jackass. I love Albert. I think he's great.
Yeah.
But, like, he's kind of a jackass.
He's a jackass, but he tells you he does it for love. And then you kind of believe him. He breaks it all down that why he's like this. And then he looks Harry in the eye and is like, I do it for love. It's just like, it's so weird, but it's so... It makes sense at the same time.
No, it totally makes sense for his character. It's a good way to kind of get the audience to like him a little bit more, too. Because, like, up until that point, I could see why some audience members might go, I hate Albert. I don't want anything to do with Albert. But having that, like, more human kind of like, oh, I do it for love, and I'm really a romantic at heart.
Yeah.
It's also just, like, cringy soap opera speech.
Yeah, I never disliked Albert, and I was always thinking at the back of my head that he's kind of like this guy. He has such like high standards and morals, and this is why he acts like this. We use this word in England only reserved for politicians and these kind of guys, but I wrote down that, is it wrong that I love Ben Horn? He's such a cunt.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's such a cunt.
Should I feel bad? I love him so much, mostly because of the acting. Like, the actor is so good, and he loves every second of it.
Yeah, he's kind of like that deliciously evil. Like, he's just so full of himself.
Yeah.
And in a worse actor, it would come across as just like a I'm so cool, mustache twirling kind of like a-hole.
Yeah.
I love when Ben Horn's on screen. He just chews the scenery, and he's like really over the top with the character. And I think that's what makes it work so well.
He chews the cigar and the scenery.
Yeah, I love when he's quitting cigars and he's just got carrots in his pocket, and whenever he's just like irritated, he just takes a huge bite out of one of them.
Weirdly, I wrote down that Lucy is dating Billy Zane's long-lost brother. I think I forgot that Billy Zane is actually in this TV show. Because that Dick character is like a comedy Billy Zane from Titanic.
That's one of the notes I wrote in season 1 when Dick Tremaine shows up, and I'm like, oh, Dick Tremaine, Billy Zane.
Yeah.
Kind of like rhymes a little bit. He's got that smarmy, like, ooh, I'm so cool kind of like attitude. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool. And then Billy Zane shows up, and I'm like, but he's already on the show.
Yeah, it's weird.
I have a lot of notes about like scene changes where there's lots of owls and the wind and stuff like that. Especially by episode 3, that's when I really started noticing that anytime that there's a shift in the plot or a character learns something, there's always like a scene transition with either a waterfall, especially when it's like something to do with the Great Northern, there's the waterfall. There's always like these kind of scenes where the wind is blowing, and that did show up in season 1 a little bit, but it's really prevalent in season 2, especially with David Lynch kind of around. Mostly to show that there's like a change in the tides of what's happening, but usually if you see like an owl, my interpretation is when an owl shows up in one of those scenes, that's an evil force paying attention and is also in the audience and knows what's going on.
Okay, that's interesting. To be fair, I never knew what to think of the owls thing. Also because the worst half of season 2 confuses the metaphor a lot.
Definitely, there are a lot of episodes where they kind of confuse that metaphor, but there's a couple shots of Ben Horn plotting some evil crap, and he's got like a light shining in his glasses that looks a lot like a reflection in an owl's eye.
Okay.
There's a couple scenes where Catherine is plotting against Ben Horn, and there's like a statue of an owl behind her. So I think they started off with a good idea of like when to show owls, and then as soon as Lynch left, the producers just said stick owls and stuff because it was said before.
Again, not a David Lynch directed episode, and I'm not down that Cooper is kind of boring when it's not directed by David Lynch.
Oh, absolutely. It really does feel like Kyle MacLachlan as a person is madly in love with David Lynch as a person, and you can kind of tell when he's like, oh, Lynch is not around. I'm sad.
Yeah, they're definitely bros.
Yeah.
And I just wrote down Josie is the worst actor and character.
I hate Josie so much. Like,
yeah. I don't know how this is connected to anything, but it's true for the entire show.
Yeah. Well, because like her plot line has nothing to do with anything other than Catherine just fucking around with her, and then Josie turns into a doorknob. Like,
yeah, well,
why?
this is still episode 4, but she's still annoying, and
yeah,
it doesn't go anywhere. Maybe if David Lynch was at hand all the episodes, then it would make more sense. But no, she just doesn't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just don't like her acting. It's so bad. She's just kind of like some pretty lady they picked out from a magazine or something.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like. Episode 5. I've only got a few things to say. But one big thing is cancel Catherine Packard for doing an Asian voice and face.
Oh my god, yeah. So for half a moment, because you had mentioned already that like David Duchovny shows up as a trans.
Oh my god, you thought this was it? Oh my god.
For half a moment, I was like, that's not David Duchovny. Was Dan misremembering?
Oh my god.
And then I realized, oh, that's Catherine. Like, immediately. This is one of those moments where, like, this would get canceled so quickly.
Yeah. I'm surprised it didn't get canceled in the 90s. It was so bad and so offensive. Maybe the only reason they got away with it is because it's so obviously fake.
Yeah. I managed to call that it was Catherine from, like, basically 30 seconds in.
Oh, yeah.
If you wanted to have that red herring of, like, is Catherine actually dead? Is she coming back to get her revenge? What's going on? Have a different character show up that she hired.
Yeah.
That's more sensible.
It is very hilarious that you thought that that's gonna be the trans character. Especially that I built it up in episode 1 talking about it as like, I think she's doing great. Like, this Asian stereotype comes in. I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Are Ben's cigars getting longer as more episodes come out? It feels like it's just longer and longer cigars.
That there's a couple scenes where they're like ridiculously long. I didn't write a note about it, but thinking about it, like, yes, there's like, do they make cigars even that long? Like, why?
Yeah.
Even a standard sized cigar takes hours to get through.
Yeah.
So just like, why? Like, it must be like a prop joke that they were just like extending it.
He's compensating for something.
Clearly.
And I just wrote down, yeah, Cooper, punch that woman. It's when they go to Canada, I think, and they go into the One-Eye Jacks.
They're doing their illegal activities.
Yeah, the Bookhouse Boys stuff. And there's a woman who wants to stab Cooper in the back, and he just punches her right in the stomach. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got for this episode, too. There's really nothing of interest. This was right around when I started noticing, like, things aren't quite as good as season 1. It's still okay, but, like, quality's starting to dip here.
Yeah, I'm sure, like, the producers started to prod David Lynch around this time, you know. Wrap it up, but also make 100 episodes.
Yeah, wrap everything up, but then keep making more.
Yeah, and make us money. I wrote down nothing for episode 6. Do you have anything?
I wrote a little bit of what was going on with Gordon Cole. There's a lot of very, very long stretches of my notes just in all caps right here.
Go on, do some David Lynch impressions.
Oh, no.
How dare you.
I believe in secrets, Coop! Looks like a chess deal.
Yep. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
David Lynch is shouting the plot at the audience.
Yeah.
Do you get it? Do you understand what's happening now, Cooper?
I kind of told you that David Lynch is like into like loud sounds, but in a way where he likes to portray them as annoying, and he made his whole character this loud, annoying idiot, you know?
Yeah, well, and there's also like a few scenes, especially that last episode where there's like the strobe lights and like loud noises. And yeah, like him being an autistic person, that's something that he would pick up on in his daily life. Because like for me, I don't like bright lights. I don't like loud noises.
Yeah. But
using that as a way to like disrupt someone in an artistic sense makes total sense. Where it's just like, this would be very disrupting for me, so I'm gonna just turn it up to 11. I'm gonna have big bright strobing lights because I don't like it. But it's supposed to be disturbing to look at. It's supposed to be loud and obnoxious. And then him literally yelling the plot at Cooper or just repeating whatever Cooper said, but loud. I felt like it was his dismissal of the producers and just kind of him giving the middle finger, essentially, to them. Yeah.
It is interesting to me that he's the kind of person that he portrays in his art what really bugs him and annoys him. You know?
Yeah, exactly. There's another thing in this episode I want to bring up. They have the one-armed man in the interrogation room, and they start talking with him, and Cooper the entire time is kind of like, okay, this guy's in connection with the spiritual realm. I get it. The cops don't quite get it. They're just still kind of thinking like he's crazy. And there's this big, long scene of the one-armed man kind of explaining a little bit more of the esotericism of the show. And at one point, he straight up just looks at the audience. He breaks the fourth wall. He looks directly at the camera and makes a statement that the Great Northern is evil.
Is that when he finishes the poem of the Fire Walk with Me poem?
Yeah, he finishes the poem because then later on, Leland kind of repeats that when he gets captured.
Yeah. The magician longs to see Fire Walk with Me.
It's so tense. It's so creepy. And then, like, he just breaks the fourth wall and, like, he just holds his eye contact there. And I was like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
It felt like someone was trying to be David Lynch and almost succeeded.
Yeah. This is where they have Ben Horne, pretty much suspect number 1. They're very quick to arrest people without evidence. Like, they arrest Ben Horne, like, based on what Woodry said, that he runs the One-Eye Jacks. It's not even verbal evidence, that's just circumstantial, I guess. They're very confident and like, yes, you did it. Still, it was funny.
Yeah.
The giant tells Cooper off that it's happening again. You fucked up, Cooper.
Oh, yeah, that whole scene is I like that scene a lot, though.
Yeah.
Like, the lights fade out, you could hear like a tick, 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 And then like the giant man shows up and he's like, Cooper, you suck. You didn't like. I gave it to you, man.
Yeah.
Like I told you everything you needed.
I told you the bags are smiling. What else do you want to know?
Like what else do you need? Owls are not what they seem.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it looks like it's all going to Ben, and they arrest him for on some grounds. Do you wanna do some Benisms, because Jerry is there as well, and he's his lawyer.
Oh, so I do have some Ben and Jerry's jokes. Not as much because just Jerry's not around.
Yeah.
And the Ben plot lines just like they don't lend themselves to it, but I do have a couple good ones that I can read off.
Go on then.
Ben and Jerry's hookers and cream pie.
Okay. Ugh.
That's my favorite one.
I just got a very visceral image of that right now.
Yeah, it's
You're gross.
very gross. Ben and Jerry's Machiavellian mudslide.
Okay. What is that referring to?
Just like the general scheming plans.
Oh, okay.
That they both have. Like anytime like something comes up, they're like, "Oh, we got to make a plan," and they come up with these grandiose plans that fall apart because they're both idiots.
Yeah, it seems like everything he tries in this season fails.
Yeah, Ben and Jerry's Jailhouse Jam.
Okay, yeah. That's this episode.
Another one related to this episode is Ben and Jerry's Bunk Buddy Blast.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because there's that scene where they're talking about sharing a bunk bed again.
Pretty much the only thing left in these good episodes is Leland.
Yeah, that whole reveal scene is so good. Well, and they kind of like hint at it before they really do the reveal, because Leland's wife, Sarah, she's like on the floor, like trying to crawl away.
Yeah.
And trying to warn someone, and she just can't. And then like Maddie kind of catches on, like, hey, something's a little fishy here. And then like the whole dancing scene, and she's clearly uncomfortable. And then like right when he walks up to the mirror and Bob is there, that like made me jump.
Yeah.
That's so tense.
And he's so good, the actor.
Yeah.
He's probably the best, out of all of them.
I just wish that was the last episode of the whole show and not halfway through season 2.
Oh, yeah. Well, we wouldn't get that amazing last episode return, though.
Well, we'll get there when I get there, but yeah, like, it's just like it's such a good scene, and it feels so wasted.
Yeah. And it feels like very edgy for... I looked this up, it wasn't on HBO, it was on like proper, just one of those free channels.
Really?
Yeah. It is...
Really?
It's yeah. HBO didn't exist back then. Wait, oh, not like this.
This is the same era of U.S. television where The Simpsons were on blast for being too edgy.
Yeah, and they just...
How?
I don't know. You tell me. This scene especially, like, it's fucking...
Especially this scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like they show anything like boobs or genitals or...
No, and there's no real swearing or anything, but...
It is just the powerful David Lynch directing that it really gets into your head. This is where we get into the bad stuff.
Episode 7 was the last one I did episode by episode notes, and then I kind of picked up on the last 3 episodes.
Okay.
But yeah, really the only real great episode after, I'd say 7, is episode 22, really.
Oh, yeah. I kind of wrote down a lot of notes for this one. It's episode 9 where the ball drops and they start rushing to the end line and quickly resolving everything. There's things like they find Laura's second diary.
Yeah.
That's another thing she's done, I guess, of the hundreds of things she's done. And then Donna reads it and it's so wooden and there's like no emotion in it. Terribly edited, terribly directed. There's some shots that were out of focus. Like, what the fuck?
I did catch, like, a lot of shots were just out of focus, and it's just like, why? Were you just not paying attention?
Probably had a hectic kind of changeover from Lynch to whoever.
It must have been them just like, oh, we need this episode out, like, tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's not even written yet. I wrote down, Laura's life is so secret she needed 2 diaries.
I think the second diary is contrived dumb.
Yeah.
But I do like adding on to the pile of, like, insane shit that Laura did in her life.
Yeah.
Just, like, she just has done literally everything and is still doing things, apparently.
Yeah. That's the most mystical part of the show because she somehow achieved 36-hour days. This is what really bugged me. So there's a lot of things that they quickly shove in as like, oh, this made sense. They bring back the dwarf guys, which is, by the way, his name is A Man from Another Place. But that's too long.
Okay.
They bring back the dream sequence things that your favorite gum is coming back in style and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they just give the dumbest explanation for those. Leland has gum, and the old guy comes up to him and he goes, "Your favorite gum is coming back in style." So that's what that meant, right?
Yeah, no.
Awful.
That was cringy.
Really
That
bad.
was awful.
Really bad. To be fair, I still don't know what the gum coming back in style meant, but I'm 100% sure it's not that. It's not this last
Yeah, no,
minute shoved in kind of explanation.
I'm still not sure myself either, but like it's definitely not like just someone saying that line. That's not clever, that's not foreshadowing. That's just you not knowing what to do and just making shit up.
There's 2 theories on the gum if you want to hear it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
There's a funny one and a not funny one. The funny one is there was apparently a famous commercial with Wrigley's, whatever it's called.
Wrigley's?
Yeah, that one. That they were like double gum when you take out the. It was apparently very famous at the time.
A double pleasure's waiting for you. A double pleasure from double mint gum. A double great feeling. Making you realize double is the one for you. Double pleasure, double food. Double delicious to chew. Double pleasure for you. Double mint gum. A double pleasure for you. Double mint gum.
It's like you get double the mint or whatever stupid shit. And apparently
Double mint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They thought that they referred to that because Maddie and Laura are like same soul or whatever.
I have those commercials burned into my memory.
Yeah.
Like they used to play them like crazy all the time.
The other thing is that burned engine oil
Oh, yeah.
is somehow has a connection of the gum making process. I read something like this when like you're making gum, there's a byproduct that's basically like oil, like engine oil.
Yeah.
Like that is an important part of the story. That's how you travel between the 2 worlds, basically. I do have my personal interpretation, to be fair, because Leland says that a story about Bob, that he met him when he was young, and I thought
Oh.
it's about just thinking back on his childhood, that whatever was in the past is coming back.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. So it could be either of these things.
I'm in favor of the double mint thing just because of nostalgia, but
That would be hilarious if that was actually real. God, the acting in this episode is so awful. Did they shoot this whole episode on a day? It turned into an actual soap opera. James Donner scene where James leaves.
yeah, that scene, oh my god. The one where James is like, I'm so fed up with this. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so, and it's just like, shut up, get off my TV, go away, go to California, leave me alone.
You're not my mom.
Yeah, you're not my Donna.
So stupid. Now, just imagine talking about the bad episodes after this. Fuck that. We did that already. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got out of the way.
We got the hard part of the way.
I think this was a good idea. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the glorious return. What an episode. It's probably the best TV episode in the 90s I've ever seen. I think David Lynch went, oh my god, they fucked this up. I have to not only reverse everything, but I have to make it so it don't go out with the fucking shit.
If the show completely ended on this episode, I think it would be a dark, cynical ending.
Yeah.
But a fantastic ending. Brilliant.
I like that the whole episode starts with like just quickly reversing all the little plot points that was stupid. Reversing the Nady stuff.
Pull the thread.
Yeah.
The fact that he was able to retcon all of the bad, crappy stuff, set up a good cliffhanger, and make one of the best episodes in television history, period, is kind of a miracle.
It is. It's very good.
Yeah.
I was surprised how many things he kept, though. So he kept the Black Lodge, for example.
And I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Like giving a name to the dream space that he enters and calling it the Black Lodge, that's okay.
Yeah. In the first episode we were recording, you kept calling the Great Northern a lodge. And I was like, don't use that word. Because you're going to be retroactively confused. I want to talk about all the weird shit that happens, which is like 25 minutes of this episode, which I love. But also, it's very neatly ties things together where it just makes me understand a lot of little things. So it's all surreal stuff. So if you see in the, for example, in season 1, this famous dwarf comes in, dances, gives clues scene. Just imagine that for like 25 minutes.
Oh yeah. It's so good.
So it starts with Cooper, he's sitting, and the dwarf is there. And the guy, the bell boy, a bellman, bell old man.
Oh yeah.
He's the
the bellhop.
bellhop. The very, very old bellhop is there.
Yeah.
And the dwarf says, "This is the waiting room." And then they start making like wind noises. That's interesting. That goes into the whole zeitgeisting, and then they go hallelujah, 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 which means praise God. And then they say that we are the same. To your point earlier where you said like you're not sure how these spirits relate, I think it's pretty much says it here, which is at least those two are the same, and it's God. They say hello to each other, basically. Hello, God. It's interesting. What did you think?
Oh, I love that scene because it's just like, that is actually kind of what tipped me off into thinking like, oh, are these characters related to their physical counterparts in the real world that kind of interact? And then the old guy, I recognize you guys showing up, really kind of like cued me into that.
Yeah.
I would not have caught on to them being called God.
Yeah.
Unless you hadn't said anything. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's a good interpretation. Yeah.
I wouldn't call it like the Christian God or whatever. But
No. Like a higher being. Not necessarily just another mortal.
Yeah, almost like how Japanese kami means like a spirit. But they also use it as a god.
Bob isn't the devil. And he's also not like a Christian demon.
Yeah.
But he does possess people and he is clearly evil.
And also the giants there, when they were saying that we are the same, like there's a cut.
Yeah.
And then in the place of the bellhop, the giant appears. So I think even the giant is part of that trio that's one creature.
Yeah. One part of that scene I really like is when Cooper gets the cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a nod to the engine oil, the burnt engine oil kind of thing.
Yes.
Because he gets the cup and it kind of like it's liquid at first, and then he looks at it and it's solid, and he goes to pour it out and it's not coming out. But then it essentially turns into a liquid again, and he's like very confused by it.
Turns into a thick liquid.
Yeah. It's like a Hershey syrup kind of thing.
Yeah. Yes, that's a good one. And to me, that kind of clicks with more things. Like, so it's saying that coffee and engine oil is basically the same thing. Now, these two things fuel humans or machines.
Yeah.
The engine oil, at least, is needed to be let into this place.
Yeah, because there's that pool at the entrance of the engine oil that you walk around.
Yeah, so I was kind of like something with that where it's like fuel, maybe like fuels creativity, fuels spiritualism, something like that.
Yeah, I kind of interpret it as a little bit like the soul. Again, not in a Christian sense, soul, but it's just like it could be used for good, where Cooper and his supervisor are drinking damn good coffee. But it also kind of like relates to Bob. Wherever he shows up, it smells like burnt engine oil, and kind of like it's a force that can be used for good or bad, and it depends on who's using it.
Yeah. How many epilepsies do you think David Lynch triggered on set?
A lot. Like, a lot.
Almost me as well. I'm not even epileptic, but it's just uncomfortable to look at,
Yeah. If this episode released today, there would absolutely be a warning at the front.
Yeah.
It's disturbing. It's unsettling. And it's supposed to kind of like rip you out of the scene and go, ah!
It's too bad that it's uncomfortable to look at, because the few times I could look at it, it created some really nice effect. As the strobe light's going on, Cooper is like walking through these red rooms, and the strobe light kind of creates this phantom effect where he has like a double.
No, I love the imagery there. I love how like it makes it feel like a dream, essentially.
Yeah.
The frame rate of reality has changed.
Reality has changed. That's good. So they went and they said, we're gonna put so many cliffhangers at the end of this episode.
Oh my god.
That they surely they will not cancel us. Like, come on.
They can't cancel you if Audrey might have been exploded.
Oh my god, that scene was hilarious as well. It's like,
yeah.
She changed herself to the bank vault, and then people just go right in.
And the old guy being so slow.
Yeah.
Just walking very slowly across the floor. And then, fuck, I can't remember who comes in. It's
It's that guy who was involved with the Packards and Boring and whatever.
the old boring guys. They show up. The old man like, oh, okay, well, we gotta go over here. And he slowly dodders over there. And then Audrey's like, can I get my water? And he's like, oh yeah. And he has to walk all the way back.
Yeah. It's classic David Lynch old guy humor is back.
Yeah, and I love after the bomb explodes, you can see the glasses just fly across the screen. It
Yeah.
lands in a tree.
That's where I noticed, oh my god, they don't have any more money for this fucking show. Because they kind of showed the explosion, but it was mostly about the aftermath. It mostly is glasses fly out, and then there's just a $2 bills just fall. You know, like
Yeah.
they tried to show like, oh, a bunch of money just falls from the sky, but it's like 2 bills.
It's like 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
uh,
it's so good.
yeah. Bob is in Cooper now.
Yeah, that scene was also super tense. And I kind of had a feeling they would do something like that because there's that whole scene in the Red Room where there's 2 Coopers and he's essentially chasing himself.
Yeah.
At first, I thought Wyndham Earl was going in there and I thought Bob would possess Wyndham Earl so that he could leave and actually do his evil deeds that he wants to do. But as soon as I saw the second Cooper, I realized, oh, maybe he was pulling the strings on Wyndham Earl so he can get Cooper and do a lot more damage that way.
Okay, I didn't think that. That's a valid interpretation. I was just thinking that this is how like Wyndham Earl's story ends, that he wanted to basically be Bob. He wanted to be like an evil spirit, but he's not that, so he gets punished, you know, by the laws of this whatever.
So it's clearly like someone looking up to the devil and like, oh, I want to be you. And the devil's like, no, I'm me.
Yeah.
You can't be me.
Yeah. Not the last time the Twin Peaks story will end with a big question that is gonna lead people scratch their heads. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get the revival season. But first we have to watch the movie.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on Twin Peaks season 2?
Some of the best television and some of the most boring television I have ever seen.
Yeah.
It starts off super strong, fantastic, and then it ends super strong. In fact, I think that ending is like one of the best cliffhangers I've seen. Because like watching Cooper just like bang his head into the mirror and then slowly like just turn his head and he's like blood dripping down his face. And then in the reflection, you just see Bob just kind of grinning.
Yeah.
It's so creepy. The way they hold on to it. It's really good. And then that middle section of season 2 is just, why? Why'd you do that? Why'd you fire David Lynch?
Yeah.
Why'd you kill the goose?
Kill the goose. Double the episodes. More than double the episodes.
I feel like this season would have been much better if they had just kept it to like 12 episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And then not done the Leland reveal.
So, Cooper is exciting to see him kind of be evil and shit. But unfortunately, you have to wait a little bit for that. Because the movie doesn't get into any of that shit.
Yeah, isn't it like a prequel?
It is mostly a prequel. It is pretty much just a straight-up drama of the last days of Laura Palmer.
Okay.
It does go into the lore more, like the spirits and stuff. We're pretty much leaving the careless fun Twin Peaks. And in the movie, it's very, very dark and very, very serious.
Okay.
The revival gets back to fun, mostly.
Oh, that's fine.
Thank you for indulging my weird closet picks. It's a bit of a roller coaster ride, this one, but it's all up from here.
Oh, yeah. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
A double pleasure's waiting for you. A double pleasure from Double Mint Gum. A double great feeling, making you realize double is the one for you.